Okay.
So you?
I guess my name starts with a G too. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So. Yeah. No.
Yes.
Okay. I think you should say it. You never say it.
Okay. I never say it. Fix my nose hair.
Yeah, take your time.
Bothering me. Yeah.
Do your thing. We have no rules now.
No rules. Welcome back to another episode of Searching for Your McGuffin with your hosts,
Gabe
and Link. I looked at the wrong camera at
That's
first.
actually
I looked at the wrong camera because I'm used to being on your side. So I'm off.
That's my side now?
Yeah. It's our side.
It's our side. That's true. Now you're on that side.
Now I'm on this side. For those of you that cannot see what's going on because you are listening to us.
I forget that. What are you doing, first of all?
Yeah, watch us on.
I mean, Spotify's a great platform, but like, do they have Spotify Wrapped for podcasts?
They do, but I don't think anyone listens. I kind of want to know the numbers about that, like how many people actually.
I don't think we can anymore, because like most people. I mean, do most people go to YouTube?
I don't know where our most.
We should probably ask. You know what? We're gonna put up a story, and we're actually gonna do it this week.
Yeah, we're gonna put a poll.
Tell us where you
listen,
watch, consume
us. Where do you consume me?
Our content.
Me and Gabriel. How do you drink us or eat us?
Well, that too, yeah. As you can tell, we are down a host.
Yes, he died.
It was tragic.
Quite funny, but
really, how? Tell me how he died.
Guys, it's always kind of personal. I don't want to get too into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But always wipe your butt with wipes. If you don't, you can get an infection and die. And that's what happened to our host, George.
Preach.
So I am a proponent of dude wipes. I hope we could get them to be our sponsors.
Oh, that'd be sick,
right? That'd be clean.
That would be hygienic. Well. That's true.
Exactly. So there you go. One of my friends, I bought him a box of dude wipes just so he can keep it at work. So yeah, I have this coworker who I feel like him and I started a book club in the bathroom because our bowel movements are synchronized.
Okay.
It's like every time I'm there, he comes out right after, like a few minutes after. It's like a book club.
Okay. What do you consume books? Do you guys read something?
I mean, I'm reading articles. I don't know what he does in the bathroom.
You should ask him.
What
do you mean? No, you guys share bowel movements. Like, I mean, share the actual. You share bowel movement times. Like,
yeah, we're in sync.
Exactly. So you think you literally do this? You know, it's an intimate thing, not necessarily together,
it's
but
like
apart, separate.
Yeah.
Exactly, but you don't think you're close enough to ask him what he's doing, what he does during that time?
I'm a social pooper. I love talking.
Oh, yeah, I know. You'd introduce us to a pooping app so that we can all be...
Exactly, right? I want to know where all my friends are, where they poop. I want to know when they have the best bowel movements, which are the best bathrooms, right? The problem is, I got to get close to you. And I'm scared of...
Like physically or like...
No, like, we have to be friends. Yeah, I'm scared of going that next step with my coworker. I don't know.
You don't know how to approach the next step.
And I don't know if he would reciprocate. You get me?
The
invitation.
The next bowel base.
Yeah, exactly. We're on first base. We're just pooping together.
Yeah.
Second base is talking.
Talking while
we're pooping. Okay. Yeah, having a full blown conversation. He's older. You get me? By a lot.
Okay.
By like, I'm 30. He's probably like 50.
He's 30 years older than you?
I'm 30. He's probably 50 or 60.
Okay, 20 years.
Around there. 20, 30. I think he's closer to 60 something.
Really?
He's probably 30 something years older. So you get me? It's like
so
that
it's
seniority.
Like you have the bowel movements of a 60-year-old.
No.
You have the bowel movement times of a 60-year-old.
He has the bowel movement times of a 30-year-old.
Okay.
Let's compliment him.
Okay. As you can see, we've gotten off track. The person who usually, keeps us in line, keeps us in check, unfortunately... What did you say happened to him?
He just didn't clean well, and he got an infection, and it went to his heart.
He's gonna hate that when he
can't control. He
reincarnates.
Yeah.
What do you? Whatever belief you subscribe to with that.
Reincarnates to.
Is he gonna be a Force ghost?
He's gonna be a Force ghost.
He's gonna be a pissed Force ghost.
You think there's gonna be a new person as him as a Force ghost?
It's just a younger version of him. He gets recasted.
Yeah.
Who would you recast?
Who would I recast?
Who would you get George? Like, who would you recast George with?
Seth Rogen. Only because he would hate it.
He would absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do anything about it.
Exactly.
You just hear Seth Rogen's laugh. We can work on that.
We can work on that.
So, Link, it's just me and you today.
It is.
I
gotta put my mic. I gotta make out with the mic so I sound good.
Make out with Mike.
Mm-hmm. The microphone.
Okay.
Not Mike.
Good that
per man.
we established that.
Or woman.
Oh yeah. Michaela. Could be Michaela.
Michaela, exactly.
What are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about something that you and I love, and it's very dear to our hearts because, first of all, we're part of it. We do this together. So as millennials, right? You're a millennial? I'm a millennial?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're like bottom line millennial, almost Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a millennial, but
yeah, I'm both. Like, you know, I'm
like you. I'm with you.
Every
I'm both.
blog spot, article, news things always has their like different time periods, different years for when this is. The same thing with like your astrology signs and stuff like that. And I'm always like in a weird cutoff time. I never know what I am.
Yeah.
So I consider myself part of two worlds.
Yeah, you're like millennial Gen Z, right? I'm a little bit older than you, right? I'm 3 years older than you. I consider myself millennial Gen Z. I can relate to older Gen Zers. The newer ones,
there's a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah.
Technology and just I don't know. What do you think it is?
I actually think it's life experience. You get me? The way I experienced life when I was their age was a lot different.
Oh, okay. I know what it is.
Technology
It's the internet.
It's the internet. Exactly.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
It's literally the ease of access I think that kids have nowadays, where they're introduced to so many different things that I didn't know up until I was later on in life.
Exactly.
But they're like 10 years old and they're like already
there,
learning how to fix things on YouTube and like or TikTok. TikTok is the new YouTube apparently.
Yeah. I have to say though, the Gen Zers that I have met, and I know a lot of them because I work for the education system. I personally feel like they're not using technology to their best advantage. If we had what they had, I think.
You can say that hindsight is 2020, but I feel like we'd be doing stupid stuff too, man.
Exactly.
No, we'd be doing stupid stuff.
I mean, I was already doing stupid stuff with with.
That's true.
But I feel like had I had the access to it that they have now, boy,
I don't know. My life
would
probably
be
different.
Exactly.
But I also think that the experience that we went through doing those stupid things and then getting older and like, man, that was stupid, would have like obviously been like, I could have done things differently back then. So yes, I think going with the knowledge that I have now and then going back with the technology, then I'd be like, I'd be a completely different person.
You're right. I take that back. Gen Zers, just step it up a little bit. That's all I ask. You Zoomers. But that's not what we're talking about today, right?
No.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the hit TV show, Community.
Somebody say they could be her.
Oh man,
I could have continued more.
Okay, I'm glad that you got it. We should actually put that for the intro. Before we start.
I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just fade away. Ba-boom, boom.
Thank you. All right, so Community.
The show? Or the concept of Community?
I think the concept of Community would be a better topic to talk about.
CC.
Okay, so what is Community to you?
Community to me. I feel like now as I just hit the third floor, you get me? I just turned 30 this year.
Third floor.
The third floor, right? But I feel that Community to me is so important more than ever. Because now I can't take it for granted. Before I feel like I took it for granted. Now I don't. So Community for me is just I don't want to say accountability, but it's part of it. But it's also joy. It's life. It makes life abundant. Yeah. So that's what Community is for me.
Community, okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I think community service.
Yeah.
I think of feeding the homeless, playing with orphans, picking up trash. Yeah. Doing beach, picking up trash at the beach and stuff like that. Community service, I think.
It's good. The world needs more of it.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of that as a kid, where I grew up. I think there were a lot of opportunities to do that, which taught me a lot.
You know what you did build while you were doing those community service hours or community service events?
Are you going to say community?
You were building community. Because you never did that by yourself, did you?
It's true.
Yeah.
Because you can't really.
No, you can. You're not that.
Do community by yourself?
No, you can do community service by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But you and I, I don't want to just single you out.
No, me.
No, both of us, we were never the type of people to do community service hours by ourselves or events by ourselves. We always did it with people.
You did it with people because, and yeah, getting into that, it's like, you did it with people because the people, like doing with other people, like made it fun. Like you were doing something that it's like, oh, this is a nice thing to do, but I wouldn't do this with myself. I'm going to do this with, and then as I got older, I'm like, those are actually good things that we did. Yeah. Like I was like, I mean, doing things with other people kind of makes it easier. Yeah. It's like, obviously there's peer pressure to do like either bad things or good things, but like there's a line, like you can do either or. It's not only like, oh, this peer pressure is going to make you like, all these people are going to make you do a bad thing. Yeah. And you're going to have like negative consequences from it. There are good choices. There are good things that people can do together. Like what friend groups, bro. It's literally just, friends. Mm-hmm. Which is why I love that show so much.
Yeah.
Like it captured an era of like, cause I was a child when Friends came out and came out before I was even born. But it's like, I kind of, Friends and Seinfeld actually, like they kind of romanticized in a way. Like obviously, yeah, they have their moments where they're like, it's just funny, like comical moments. But I was like, man, these people like are grown-ups. They can do grown-up things. Yeah. But also like they're always hanging out with their friends. They're always either across the hall from each other or always like
they're at close proximity to each other.
Exactly. Like that, and that because that's the premise of the show, because that connection, those interactions, the craziness that happens in friend groups and social groups is entertaining to watch, but also it's an incredible thing to experience in real life. Yeah. When you're able to just, I don't know, there's a feeling you get when you know that like there's a group of people that you're going to go see and everyone's going to be there. Yeah. And I think as we get older, and for me, for me personally, I grew up, I was an only child,
That sucks.
So it's like, exactly. So it's like, as if anyone couldn't tell. So that was the thing for me where it was like, you guys, like my uncles are older, or they're older than you, then like they're older than me. Yeah. So it's like, we're not really in the same age range. We're not like too far apart. Yeah. But we're like, as like an 8-year-old or like a 10-year-old, it's not like a 17-year-old or 19-year-old isn't going to want to hang out with a little kid like that, So obviously like I had to find friends my age, but
even then I feel like they did a good job hanging out with you.
Oh no, yeah.
And me as well.
Because and they included me. Like they did a good job of including me. And I think that went that was a whole different part, like to building my identity and, me becoming who I am, to be able to relate and to be able to like hold conversations with older people.
Question. Because you and I grew up, with George and my sister and your other uncles and right. I feel like our taste as children was a lot better than the taste of our peers at the time. You get me?
No, and
was it hard for you to like relate to your peers? Because obviously I was an immature child, but I felt like my taste was more mature than them. Yeah. So I had a hard time connecting with people my age because the taste that I had was a taste of I don't know, like someone 10 years older than me.
Like a 20, almost 30-year-old.
Well, not. Yeah, I guess.
As I got older, because going to high school. No, yeah, I completely agree, because it's like the things that like music taste, the things that they were getting me into was like movies and music and comics and just that type of content that I was taking in. A lot of it was playing video games, like Rock Band. Rock Band shaped a bunch of my music taste, where it necessarily wasn't the same. Like a lot of it was the same, and we have similar music tastes, but also like pointed me in a new direction where I was able to forge my own path. Yeah, in terms of like, it's not the like copy paste off of like my uncles or my aunts. Yeah. It's similar. We go in a similar vein, but I went my own way. And I think that there was a certain point where it was difficult, because like here I am like enjoying like, man, these movies are so good, when I'm not even allowed to watch those movies.
Yeah,
so, like
exactly.
The kids around me, like even then, they're not allowed to watch those movies. Yeah. So like they never knew what I was talking about. And as far as like, because like I was saying, because I was a single child, an only child.
You didn't have any girlfriends when you were young? When you were a child?
That too. I was a single child. I was a single child for a long part of my a long time in my life. But the friends that I did make, that I grew up with, and that's another, like, that's either I got lucky or it's a blessing or whatever, that I grew up with a lot of people that, like, I can still talk to this day, or like they were constant. They were consistently in my life since I was 4 years old when I started going to school till I was like 8th grade high school, till I kept going. It was like kind of like the same core group of people. People would come in and out. Yeah. But for the most part, the gist of it was like I had like the same best friend throughout, my childhood. And I made new friends, but my connection to them was that of like me trying to find the connection of like me having a sibling. Because it's like my connection to, because I was an only child. It was a lot of nights of just like Saturday nights of, going with my mom to Blockbuster, getting, Pizza Hut right next door, going to Blockbuster, picking out a movie or a video game to watch that night. And then, just do, like, my mom would be in her room doing her thing, and I would just be in the living room watching my movie, or like eating playing video games, or eating pizza by myself. And then, just eat cold pizza the next morning. And those were my typical weekends before.
Sounds like an amazing weekend to me.
Yeah, like they were fun. And I did learn a lot. But as a kid, it's like when I go to school, it's like I see all these people and I have such a great time. And it's like, for me, connecting with them was like the biggest thing for me. It was like, I have so much fun with friends because I don't get this necessarily at home. Yeah. But being like, having that solitude and that, like, being alone, like,
it's nice.
I thought it was a bad thing as a kid. Like, I was like, I'm alone. Like,
you get FOMO.
Exactly. And
as a child, you don't realize that.
And as FOMO, I grew up, I was like, it taught me a lot to be alone, to be okay by myself. It is okay. It's great, to have your alone time, to have that time to yourself. But as a kid, I realized that I craved, friendship. I craved those connections, to the point where, like, the people that were close to me, they were more than friends. They were like my brothers. Yeah. To the point where, like, when my best friend, like, I would always, like, when I could, I would go sleep over his house. We'd have sleepovers and stuff like that. And we'd get into all sorts of, like, hijinks and stuff. Like, we'd go out, and he was a very creative person. So, like, he would teach me how he'd do, like, a lot of art and, like, spray painting and stencils. And, or I don't know, he had a very creative mind, to the point where, like, I wasn't exposed to that. Like, I just didn't think that way. Yeah. So being able to see that at a young age and being exposed to that, I was like, oh man, it's crazy to think like how someone else is different than me, but being able to be a part of and have conversations with them about that type of stuff. But just the joy of, we can go watch a movie. Like, because he had a brother too. And that was like, he became one of my friends as well. Yeah. And it was just like, we would go to his house, like, his mom would cook delicious food. We'd watch a movie. We'd play games. We'd play, like, hide and seek or tag or manhunt. And sometimes, like, the community that we grew up in, was like, I grew up in a religious, community, and we, like, went to church and stuff. And
loser.
Yeah. That community, we would, the friends that I built there, as well as in school, that was my core. Yeah. And while George and everyone else was in high school, like, they would take me to school, and that was the time that I'd spend with them. I'd spend time with older people.
So we spent time with.
Exactly. Like, I remember there was a time where, like, I don't know, I was like in 4th or 5th grade, and then, like, Aerosmith comes on, like, Dream On comes on, and I'm singing, and George is like, what the heck? How do you know this song?
Yeah, I was like, how does he know this song?
And then, well, that's like because of either films or something that I watched. That I got into
your parents. I think your dad.
I don't know. It was probably either my dad or George or something like that. But all that to say, like, I grew up alone a lot.
So you valued community.
Yeah. So the people that were around me were everything to me. Yeah. And
man, that explains so much about you.
Yeah. And so, like, that's why, like, I just care for the people. Like, I always want to help. And
I don't know if this is too personal. You can plead the fifth. But do you feel like those people that are not family members, right? Like the ones that you're the closest to right now, your friend group, your community. Do you feel like they are more important to you than your family?
If like attention and, if attention was a measure of that, probably. Like the amount of time I spent texting or calling or FaceTiming or interacting. I mean, a lot of it's over the phone because it's like, as we get older, obviously we'll get into that. But
we'll get into that.
I think if that's a measure of that, then I would say like, yeah. Cause like those are the people that.
I hope your family's not listening to this.
No, I mean, I love my family, but like that is.
But you guys are second.
No, I love my family, but I think that's a thing for me where I was a kid. When I was a kid, like I was chasing.
Yeah.
Friendship from other people, things that like they like because I was like,
because you didn't have it,
exactly. I didn't have that
connection,
and I didn't want to be alone, so like I would chase that excessively to the point where like it kind of,
bro, it's like therapy for you right now.
As I grew up, like I kept like chasing. I grew into my own. As I got into high school,
I felt like when you got into high school, that's when you established who you were, and you separated yourself even more from your family.
From my family. And it was like it was like, you trying to fit in, you trying to be cool, you trying to not miss out on any like, memories or moments that you could be making with your friends. So like I was always with my friends. I was always doing something with my friends. Even when I was in Guam, when I went to Guam my freshman year, I missed my friends so much.
Guam is short for Guantanamo Bay.
No, it isn't. And so I had to be a George. I couldn't yes and you on that one. Because I went to a different school through like in my last like 8th grade year of middle school, and all my friends were still in 8th grade and they were graduating together.
Yeah, that was weird for me.
And I had FOMO, like I was left out. Like I grew up with these kids since I was like a little kid. Yeah. And then I finally get to go back to the school, and we get to start high school together and have all those moments. And then my dad's like, "Yeah, no, we're going to Guam." Which is it's like 3 hours south of Japan. It is across the world.
Yeah.
At a pivotal point in my life where like I am
entering
like,
high school
into freshman year, and I finally got to go back to my friends. I finally like there's like prodigal son coming home, and then like a month in, like I'm gone again.
Yeah, prodigal son sent back away.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want you. Like, bye. And so like I missed my friends a lot, but that experience taught me like you are like where you like it is what you make of it, And I made friends, and I made lasting friendships.
That's true, because I do feel like one of the things that you did learn was learn how to make friends. Because I'm always astonished by how friendly you are and how easy it is for you to make friends. I'm like, oh my goodness, Gabriel's like a social butterfly over here. Just makes friends with anyone. But at the same time, I know you, so I also know like how introverted you can be.
Oh yeah, but I could stay home and binge. Yeah,
but I'm like, dang. But I think that's something that you picked up because you were forced to. You switched schools 8th grade, you went to Guam, you come back, right? And then you didn't go back to your original school, you went to another school. You went to like a public school.
I went to public school where like I made friends there. Yeah.
So for those pivotal years of like, transitioning from 8th grade to high school, middle school,
I went to 3 different high schools.
And like you were forced to learn how to make friends.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that. That didn't happen to me. So that's why I feel like I struggle with making friends, because I was never put in a situation where I have to. I went to the same school all 13 years, which is the same one we went to until, you did your thing. But like, because of that, I was never put out of my comfort zone on learning how to make new friends, because I had all my friends.
Exactly. Yeah. No. It put me in a position where like I had to like evaluate, like I had to be self-aware as a kid, as like a kid that's like going through puberty, going through a bunch of these different changes in life.
That's also true. Puberty plays in a role.
And it's just like, and that's the thing. I felt like when I like was going through puberty, like I got taller, I got skinnier, I started playing sports.
You turned into Jacob from Twilight?
For a bit, yeah, for a hot minute there. And those types of things allowed me to, like getting into sports allowed me to learn the culture of sports and integrated me into a whole new world of just like bonding with people, like different groups of people, like playing pickup soccer or volleyball or swimming, doing half marathons or like 5Ks or whatever, like just being super active. I met a bunch of people, and I think the combination of that, like we said before about being kind of like my family was older, and like I was already used to like being able to talk to older people, that stayed with me.
Yeah.
Where like I had friends that were older. They were in their late 20s or in their 20s that played for the soccer club, played, in the national team, played for the stuff, like going on trips and stuff. And that I feel like taught me so much about, life and the world that we live in. And it taught me to be more empathetic and understand, like, you don't know everyone's story, and sometimes like all you have to do is just listen to people. And that's something that like I'm passionate about, like hearing other people like and their stories and what they have to say. and that is like at the crux of who I am. That is like the point. That is my essence of like, I love to be around people and I love to help people. And I feel like my progression in life from everything that's happened to me kind of forced me into that. But all that to go back to your original question, I think that
what is community to you?
No, not the community, but the family. Am I closer to them or my family?
Yeah.
I think the chasing of that, I think going out there, like, I want to hang out with my friends. I want to spend time with my friends. I want to do this because they share interests. It's just more enjoyable in certain aspects.
And it's different too when they are your age.
Exactly.
Because you're, like you said, your family's a lot older than you.
Exactly. And I mean, this part, I guess, it's personal, but it's like, whatever. This is therapy.
Here you go.
I feel like
with confidentiality, guys, what is said here stays here. We're not sharing it with other podcasts, right?
Other podcasts. No, I think that I became I was not good at communicating, with particularly like my parents, my grandparents. And I mean, that's something that unfortunately, like I try to get better at, but sometimes I'm so stuck in like what's in front of me, what's around me and stuff like that. Because there was points in time where like I was living in Tennessee and I just wouldn't call my mom.
Yeah.
And like to me, because everything was in front of me. Everything was here because and the thing is like, and I know you're going to get to it, but my mom, when I turn into like I'm from Boston or something, my mom is just the type of person that like, give me your friend's phone number. And I don't do it anymore. I try not to because she will call. Like if I don't answer or if like I'm not picking up the phone or something, she will call everyone that possibly knows me or could know of my whereabouts at least 3 times before moving on to the next person.
Yeah.
And like that happened to you guys, that happened to my aunts a lot, my friends and stuff.
It happened when we were in high school. And then when we went to I went to college before you, then you went to that same college. It happened again. And she like, call me.
Dile que Gabriel me llame.
Dile a Gabriel que me llame. But it's always interesting to me because growing up, when your mom did that, I'm like, bro, this is so annoying. But hearing your story, right, about being an only child, you were literally everything for your mom.
Yeah, I still am.
You still, yeah. She's married now.
She's married
now to a white man. That's what Hispanic women.
The greatest white man of all time.
Yeah, Hispanic woman. That's what you got to do. Marry a white man. I'm just waiting for my mom to remarry a white man. That's what I'm asking Santa for Christmas. But it is, it affected you, but it also affected her as well. Like, now that I'm older, hearing this, I'm like, wow, I can see the like I see from your perspective, but now I can also see it from her perspective.
No, yeah, and that's what experience teaches. That's what age teaches you. It's like I look at the position I'm in, I'm like, oh crap. Like a lot of times, like people when they have kids, they see like what they put their parents through. But I've already noticed that, and like that was something I had to have a conversation with her, and I had to like apologize for a lot of like not communicating and not being present and that's something that I'm trying to like actively work on because me with communicating, it's like if it's not in front of me, if it's not like, pertinent or a priority right now, then it's like it kind of gets put on the back burner, and that's a terrible. Like I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person. If I'm giving so much attention to the people around me like that, then it's like these are my parents. This is my mom. This is my dad. These are my grandparents. These people that raised me, that care for me. Like you said, like. I'm my mom and my dad's only child. Mm-hmm. They care for me more than I can ever imagine. Like, there's nothing I can do that like will ever make them stop loving me. And that was something that when I came back to Miami, I realized I was just like, man, this is something because the pandemic happened. I finally came back like in 2021, I think around there. Yeah. And I realized I hadn't seen my mother face to face in like a year. I was in Tennessee. I was in a relationship. I had my friends. I had my life. I had my job over there. And I spoke to my mom like every once in a while. But it was something different when I came back and I saw him. I didn't see my mom in a year. And like people go through like their life like that. Like that could happen. Like they don't see their parents in a very long time.
Was there like when you finally saw your mom again within that year? Did you notice how much she aged?
Yes.
Because that's what happened to me too when I moved back, like from California. I realized I'm back home, and my mom's aged.
No,
it's not the same.
It was so strange because I mean, and my mom has had the person that, like, the face of a young person. Like, she just has, I mean, she has great skin and like, but I hadn't seen her in a long time. And then when I came back, I'm like, oh, mom. Like, I mean, I don't want to like be disrespectful or anything. That's just, it's natural. And maybe it's not necessarily age, but it's like, it's hard to, like, if you're seeing someone constantly, it's hard to
you don't notice the differences,
the subtle changes that happen to
people,
you know? But it's like through that time, like what happened recently with my cousin, like Nick or Mario Max. I hadn't seen him in like a couple of months.
Oh, my boy's ripped
and
now.
He was skinny. And now he's jacked.
He's
and I'm
jacked,
like, bro, what?
He doesn't know those steroids make his pee-pee small. Watch out, Mario Max.
Is he taking roids?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Let's bring him on the show.
He's too much of a baby to do roids.
I don't know. He could have changed.
You're right. Those streets of Kendo.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, we should probably go down this list, right?
Exactly, yeah. This is a good therapy, though. This is a good conversation. I've asked you some tough questions, I believe, and you answered them well. And truthfully and honestly, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. I think one of the big moments, obviously we had, like, you know, growing up, like we came through, you know, elementary, middle school, high school. But I think one of the big, you know, times that one of the most pivotal points, especially for community in our lives, was when we went to college.
Yeah, to me, that's when I realized the importance of community.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you left that family.
Yeah.
You left the family. You made the jump. You made, you know, you're gone. Like, you're not in the shelter of your family, your parents, or anything. Like, you're kind of on your own, and you have to do these things for yourself. You have to, you know, keep yourself alive.
You build like your own little family.
Exactly.
And I've said this before, but one of the reasons why I was so happy when you decided to transfer to the same college I was at was because I was there by myself, and I had some friends from that I went to high school with, and some friends that I knew from Miami. But I didn't have family, you get me? And when you got there, I was like, family.
Yeah.
And it felt special. You felt special. I'm like, wow, I have someone. I don't know how to describe it, but you represented, when I would see you, you would represent my family.
Yeah, it was
my
a
mom,
piece of
my
home.
dad, yeah.
It was a
you
piece
know, George, my sister, your grandparents, you get me? Because I would spend a lot of my time at their house. So it's like, man, it felt like home when you got there. And that's why I was like, I'm just going to hang out with Gabriel many times.
Yeah, no, and that's pretty much, I mean, how it went down. But I mean, it's true because it's someone that you've had a lot more experience with. It's someone that's gone through a lot of similar experiences because we spent a lot of time together. Our families did when we were growing up. And it's like you're in this new part of your life and everything is so new and strange, but there's something that came. Yeah. And it's like, oh, like, I know this. This is comfortable, and like this is an opportunity, like, and I think like we grew you know, together, and like we formed a different kind.
We formed a different bond because, like we said earlier, like I graduated high school before you. You had already started drifting away. Yeah. Because you came back, and anyways, so we didn't really hang out that much. And I feel like it was in college when you and I started to build our relationship that was outside of George.
Yes, because, I mean, that's true, because we obviously went to the same school. We had other things, but it was because my uncle, you know, was hanging. George. Was good. George was good friends with your sister.
Not good friends. They were dating.
They were dating at that point.
Yeah. So we were just like, all right, we would hang out with each other.
Yeah, because we were kind of like, we were made to. It's not that we didn't enjoy it, but at the same time, it's like, we were brought together through circumstance. It wasn't like we made a choice to go, obviously, but like it was different when we had our own lives, but we still decided this is something that, you know, I still want to hang out with you. I still want to go, you know, go watch a movie or eat dinner or like something with you.
Watch shows, yeah.
Yeah, and that was such a fun time, man.
Those were some of my favorite moments, yeah.
And those moments that like, and I mean, even beside the friendship that we made, it was like we were making other friendships. And we were introducing each other to our friends.
And that's what I loved about it, because like I said earlier, you're a lot more social than I. So in college, it was hard at first for me. I only made friends with the people I had already known. I really didn't try making new friends. Yeah. It was my second semester there. My best friend comes, and we become roommates, and it was easier. Then you come. But because him and I are very similar, we're not the most social butterflies. But when you got there and you started making friends, and you introduced me to them, it was like, all right, it was you helped me make friends.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It was interesting going over there in the first place, and even like that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure I've stated before, but even getting there was like it wasn't like as easy as just going. Or maybe it was that simple, but in my head there was a lot of other things in play.
Variables that
like a lot of things had to happen for me to get there. But it was a choice that I was like, I needed to leave because
you needed to grow.
Yeah, I was basically in Miami my whole life except for like that year in Guam, and
man, that year felt like forever.
Yeah, and I ended up going to. I was going to FIU. I was going to the college, the local university here, and I made friends there. I wasn't like I didn't make any friends. I made a lot of friends, and I was, going out but like I realized that this was a piece of like I was turning into someone that I didn't necessarily think I wanted to be. Like I was turning into my friends. Yeah, the people I was hanging out with.
You're becoming the community you were hanging out with.
Exactly. And I mean, that's not like, it's not supposed to be like a dig at the people I was hanging out with at the time. But at the same time, it's like, it wasn't necessarily who I was at my core. Like they did fun things, but the things were like, they would overdo it. Yeah. And overdo it consistently. And I realized like, I didn't like the life I was living. I didn't like the person I was becoming, to the point where like, I was chasing my friends. Like, I remember the first couple of months, I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I don't like who I'm becoming. Yeah. Like, it was fun, but like after a certain amount of times, I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I can't sustain this. And then I ended up going to Orlando a lot because I had some of my best friends, some good friends there. And I was taking the mega bus like every other weekend, like staying here. Like, bus? Like $20 and then going up to the point where like George and my family had like an intervention for me. Like I came into the house and I'm like, what the hell is everyone doing here? And they're like, they sat me down on the couch and then like, why are you going to Orlando so much? Are you okay? Like what's wrong?
It's because you lost your community and you were trying to get it over there.
Exactly. And
it's something that they probably don't understand because they had their own community.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's not a dig on them. It's like they never left. They never, but like exactly. they found their people
here
very early on, and like none like the people didn't really leave. Their core was here.
Yeah, and they made new ones as well.
Yeah, which is great. But at the same time, it's like my core dispersed, man. Like exactly. They were like the Dragon Balls after you make the wish. It's like they're just gone.
Dang.
And I mean, I did the same thing. Like there was just moments where like I felt like this is what I need to do, and then I ended up going, and everything that had to happen happened. Yeah, and I was able to go.
You needed to go to Tennessee.
Exactly. Not like for so many different reasons, to learn like a different way of life. Just like how I went to Guam and it taught me so much about how other people live. Because Miami can be a bubble sometimes, like just
a party bubble. Yeah,
staying in Miami, and not even just a party bubble. It's the bubble of like. The culture here is like very,
stagnant?
Not stagnant. It's like, we live here. We're from Miami, and we're going to let you know we're from Miami, and we're proud we're from Miami. But it's like, if you go somewhere else, it's like, oh, that person's from Miami. Yeah. And I love being from here. I love saying that I'm from here. I love my city.
I'm obnoxious about it.
But I do think that leaving to Tennessee was so, beneficial for my growth, and just understanding how other people, because it's like I had never seen that many white people in a concentrated.
I mean, we've never seen that many white people, even Asians. I mean, no, you were in Guam. Never mind. I take that back.
No, yeah, Asians. I was.
Yeah. I thought Asians other than Filipinos.
But it's like the predominantly it was like I'd walk into a restaurant. I'm speaking Spanish. I'm ordering Spanish. I get to Tennessee. They're looking at me like, I've seen you before. Do you play soccer? And it's just like I'm like 1 in 100 Hispanic boys that they've seen, and just experience. It's just different experiences that I've had, like people using their blinkers, bro.
It's not telepathy, people.
Dude, when I tell you, people were because I've always used my blinkers like as a driver because that's the way I was taught. And it's like it just makes sense and it's courteous and it's, but in Miami, that's not a thing.
Yeah, bro, they drive by faith.
That's one thing. But it isn't a thing, saying, I'm going to go into this lane. I'm letting you know I'm going into this lane. In Miami, it's like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get off the road.
I'm going to go inside. Yeah,
road.
Exactly.
And so, like, going to Tennessee, I was like, oh, man, they're using their blinkers here. People are so polite. I'm just walking down the street, and they're waving at me, saying hello. So, like, how you doing, sir? And I'm like, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for asking. I walk around here. I take a walker, like, I walk around my neighborhood or a run.
You didn't even make eye contact.
No, I try to.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to Tennessee.
Oh, no, me too. But the people don't.
And I'm running and I'm walking and I'm going to pass it. I'm like here, like presenting my smile, going to give a wave, going to give that, that nod you give when you're passing people. And, do your thing. If you don't want to say, okay, I get that. But it's like, it's just little subtle differences that it's like, you don't really get. And it teaches you a lot because even then, not everyone was from Tennessee that went to that school. People were from all over the place, man.
That was beautiful. We were.
It was like a melting pot,
Yeah. We were introduced to different cultures.
Exactly.
American cultures.
Yeah.
Because we just grew up in Miami.
But also they had the best Thai food restaurant in
part of
the planet.
Yeah.
But yeah, just different opportunities, being able to, play soccer, play sports and just learn a lot about life and getting to pick the people that I want to hang out with. The family that I chose, the family that I choose.
Yeah.
To hang out with. But one of the interesting things was that when I was over there, I realized because I was gone. Mm-hmm. I was like, I started missing my family.
Yeah.
I started missing.
What's the expression? Distance
makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. Well, a lot of it was because I met my friend Alec at the time, and my progression, my journey in high school was a lot of it was sports, man. It was like doing the popular things and like being the cool kid and stuff like that, or trying to be, and that was my identity, soccer and sports and like just being athletic or whatever. That became my identity and hanging out with my friends, and a lot of it, like I kind of repressed a lot of things that I enjoyed as a kid, watching film, playing video games, like Star Wars. I wasn't thinking about Star Wars. Like Star Wars was the last thing because I was like, oh, that's nerd stuff, man. Like, you're a freaking loser if you like that stuff. And that just went to the back of my mind. Like I didn't think about it. Yeah. And then I met a friend. I met Alec in college, and I didn't like him at first, like because I thought he was trying to, step to one of my hit on one of my friends, and I was kind of just.
And he's from Orlando.
Yeah. No, he went to my rival school. He went to a rival high school.
Yeah.
And
he's a Magic fan too.
And then I like. Yeah.
He's a Patriots fan too.
That is the worst. Never mind.
How are you friends with that guy?
Actually, you're right. He's the worst.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm getting rid of my stuff.
But you mentioned something interesting, and this is what I've noticed, that the friends that you made in college, the bonds you make in college are a lot stronger than the bonds that you made when you were younger, right? Like in high school, or we went to the same school. It was like a K to 12 school.
Yeah.
So although with the friends you had in that school that you went to, you had quantity. But the quality that you had with your friends in college is a lot better than the quantity you had with these people.
Yeah.
So, and one of the reasons is because, like you said, when you're in high school, when you going to the same school, you're kind of forced to be with these people, right? Like, you're the admin or whoever, the registrar puts you in a room of people, and you're forced to be friends with them.
Yeah.
Right. When you go to college, you already know what you want, what you like, so you're going to attract the people that.
Yeah, and you're
like what you like, and that's why you were able to become friends with your friend Alec.
Yeah,
and that's why that bond there is stronger than some of the bonds you probably had in high school.
Yeah. And the thing is, like you were exploring and you're building your taste, and like the story, like with Alec, like I said, I didn't have a good impression of him at first. Like I was just like he'd say hi, and I would just like I was a stone-faced kid. Like I didn't want anything to do with him, But his roommate at the time, which is also a good friend of mine now. I went to go like visit him to go like hang out or something, and then I saw him like playing video games. He was playing like Battlefront or something, and I was like, "Oh, you like Star Wars?" And then after that, like it was just that was the beginning of like a beautiful friendship, And we ended up like we ended up realizing that we had so much in common, and I found a part of myself that I had lost when I was a kid, when I was younger.
Yep.
I realized like, man, this is something I'm very passionate about. But even more than Star Wars, it's just like the artistic and creative side of like I love film. That was something that I just didn't think about. Like that's what I grew up doing. And video games and things like that. but like meeting Alec was like the catalyst for like me opening myself up to like, oh, I love this stuff. And like, you know, not thinking negatively about, you know, the negative connotation, the perception that other people are going to have of me of saying like, you're a nerd. Yeah. You're a geek. You're a loser. Because like, for some reason that was like the stigma, that was the thing I had in my head. And I realized that when I met him, I was like, oh, this person like is into, because he's into sports too. He's a phenomenal basketball player. He plays football, baseball. He does all that stuff. Yeah. He plays all the sports that like I didn't get into, you know? And like we bonded over, we were able to bond over sports. We were able to bond over movies, over like food. We love the same type of food. And like we were finding new places to eat and stuff like that. And after that, like he ended up leaving after his first year. But I kept in touch. I kept that friendship because he's like a brother to me now, you know? And then the friends that I continue to you know, get the quality of friends, like you were saying, like that I continue to make, I was able to introduce him to the people that were passed in my life, the people that I chose to stick with, that I went to high school with, that I went to elementary school, that I grew up with. Because there's a handful of people that like, they were quality. There are people that I choose.
You knew you weren't going to.
I choose to keep in my life, and I introduced them, and they gelled. They mixed, and I introduced, like, they're now really good friends, and they hang out, and they do a bunch of stuff together. To the point where, like, when we're all together, which is something that, like, we've been blessed to be a part of, is like we have like a giant group chat, you know, of dudes and friends that like we are. It's just a bunch of guys that like are there for each other, and we talk about stuff that, you know, whenever we need help or something, like with it, they're just like a community, a brotherhood, a tribe that like we can talk to, we can bring our concerns to. And that's something that's like, if you don't have one, I don't know how, but it's like,
you got to
try and make one, man.
And that's what we're talking about. That's the importance of community, because you made all these friends. You and I made all these friends in college, but we graduated. What was the difference? How community wise, socially, right after you graduated?
Bro, that is it was different, man. It was sad in a way, because it's like, for me, like transitionary periods are like people leaving. Like I have an issue with that. Like I get like emotional way. Yeah. Because like these are people I spent, like I've had so many memories with, and now they're like going and doing the different things. It's a beautiful thing, you know, to move on and stuff, but it's a hard pill to swallow, because it's like, these are my people, but this is what's best, you know? But I've found that, you know, like if you want to make people a priority in life, you will.
You have to be intentional. Yeah, you have to be intentional.
You have to create, you know, figure out some type of way to keep that bond alive. And sometimes, unfortunately, like there aren't people don't want to continue that.
Yeah,
and I've had
that's out of your control.
Exactly. I've had like those moments in life, and not a lot of times, but the times that it has happened, it's like, that crap sucks, man. But it's like, you can't do anything about that.
All right, just move on.
And, you know, a lot of times it's like when, like you were saying, the transitionary period of like when everyone graduated, and I was kind of like, it was like a bomb blew up. Yeah. And it's like, you kind of had to like stay and like pick up the pieces of like what remained. And I had to make new friends. But these were more of like, and these are friends that like I had a great time with, but it's like, these aren't the people that like, you know, I was handpicking.
They're not the brotherhood that you had established.
It wasn't the same, but it's like, it's not that necessarily wasn't supposed to last forever. Yeah, like there's seasons for everything, there are periods for everything, and you move on as you go on in life, and people will come in and out of your life as needed, you know? Yeah. And I think that there are times when, you know, there are like periods when people leave and you can be going through something. You know, you can be going through something extremely hard, extremely tough.
And that's one of the problems that many, I guess, I don't want to say millennial, because I feel like even Gen Zers now are going to experience it right after you graduate college. Right, you go to a new place. You know, you move. Obviously, you don't stay in that town where you went to school unless you live there, or university, right? And you're forced to make new friends, right? Because you're out of your comfort zone. You're in a whole new place. And what I've seen, the discourse I've seen online is that you don't have that community, and as a result, many people tend to pick up bad qualities, bad habits.
You get to cope.
To cope, right? And they end up affecting your mental health, sometimes physical health as well. emotionally.
Yeah, it's all it's pretty much at some point it's gonna be all aspects of your life.
Yeah,
because
community is important.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be because they leave or because any of that. It can life is tough. Like life will like hit you in the mouth, you know, and I found that a lot of times that like it doesn't even have to be related to the community or anyone leaving. It's just something happens in life outside of your control, but it happens to you, and it's so much harder when you don't feel like there's people around you.
Yeah,
there's people supporting you, and even when there are certain things like depression, man. Like that makes you think like there is like no one cares.
Wants. Yeah,
like
you start telling your lies that you are alone, that no one cares about you.
Exactly, and that is a it's a deep dark hole that I mean I found myself in before, and like I have friends that struggle with that as well, that I've bonded with over I'm trauma bonded about this type of stuff, because it's like there are certain things where only if you've gone through it, only you can understand.
Yeah. And
I have friends like that have struggled. I used to struggle with that. And there was times like even when I was like in the brotherhood, surrounded by the people around, like there were times like that would hit me.
Yeah.
And it would hit me hard. And like I would mentally, like I wasn't there. Like my mental health was a wreck. And it was like I just felt like I got isolated and alone, and I picked up a lot of like just bad habits and like addictions and coping and things to cope that were not beneficial, were ruining me. And one of the ways that like I came out of this was because people in my community, friends that had gone through the same thing, kept mentioning like they were there for me.
Yeah.
They were there for me. They cared for me. You were one of them. You were always checking up on me, which I appreciate,
Yeah, boy.
And I love you. I love you for that, man. And I love you beyond that.
I love you.
Thank you.
You're my favorite Gabriel in the whole world.
I am?
Yeah.
Oh. I am.
Yeah.
You're my favorite link.
Oh, that's high praise.
And those people, that community basically told me, get therapy.
Yeah.
And that was one of the best decisions I made.
A wise friend once told me that addiction is the opposite. A community is the opposite of addiction. I guess vice versa as well, right? And many times when we go through depression, it could lead us to isolate ourselves.
Yeah.
And in that isolation where you might pick up bad habits, right? And these habits, it's a circle, it's a cycle, right? These bad habits create more depression, and because you're depressed, you go over to these bad habits, and it's like you're there and you don't see a way out. And that's when you need community the most. That's when you need people to take you along to be there with you, carry some of your burdens, and be vulnerable with you.
Yeah.
Because when you are in this cycle of addiction and depression, you don't reach out. You think that you're the only person that's struggling with this, and as a result, you're not vulnerable. And vulnerability is key when it comes to addictions. Vulnerability is key when it comes to depression.
Yeah.
And community, a good community is vulnerable with you. A good community does keep you accountable.
It helps you share the load.
It helps you share the load. Exactly. And the beauty of it is that, you and I have struggled through some similar things, and I can count on you. And I know you can count on me.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is that now we can help other people.
Exactly.
And that's what I love about community. I have you, you have me, and we can help others.
No, yeah, you have each other's backs, and it's like the thing that popped in my head was in Return of the King when Frodo and Sam are going up the mountain to destroy the ring.
Yeah,
and Frodo's done, bro. He can't
no more.
He's at the finish line and he can't do it, bro. And here you go, Sam, the guy that's been the guy that Frodo has pushed away.
Yeah,
the guy that's been
Frodo's isolated himself.
Exactly, he rejected him so many times. And Sam is like, to the point where like he couldn't even have him in his presence.
Yeah.
To the point where like Sam is like, he is such a loyal friend. He's a loyal companion that it's like, I'm going to stick this out with you even if you don't want me to be here.
And he doesn't put on the ring either.
Exactly. That's like, it's a quality friend. It's someone that cares for you. And even though because when you go through addiction, when you go through depression, when you're in a mental space that isn't clear, you do stupid things. You make bad choices and you push people away when you need them closer, you need them the most, And it's so, and that's so evident. But it's like Sam was persistent in the way that Frodo needed him to be, because Frodo didn't want him to be around him. So Sam took his space, took his distance, but always kept an eye on him. Was always fun and saved his life multiple occasions. And basically carries him to the finish line. He's like, I can't carry the ring.
Yeah, he doesn't carry the ring.
But I can carry you. And he helps him. He lifts him and he takes him, and they save the freaking world. They save Middle Earth. And that's such a powerful example of the stuff that like goes on in the day to day. Like, you don't have to be traveling to like destroy the One Ring on Mount Doom and stuff like that. But on a very serious level, we might have a Mount Doom in our head. Yeah. You know, we have those quests in our head that could mean life or death in some instances. The way that you live your life, and if you live it alone, if you live it solitude, and you live it like thinking that no one cares, that you're by yourself, and the way that you think about that is it can lead you down a very dark path. Yeah. To the point where like it can become dangerous and detrimental. But the beauty of it is that true friends, like the real ones, even though you push them away, they're still gonna be there. They will always be there for you no matter what. You have your friends like Sam that will, force their way into you to help you out. But then you also have your friends like the rest of the fellowship that are helping you from far away. Exactly. That are giving you the space you need because maybe they might not know how to do it. But they're also there fighting for you. You get me? They're distracting the eye so that it's not focused on you. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like the friends that you make, the family that you choose, the people around you, your brotherhood, your tribe, your sisterhood, whatever it may be. That's your family. Those are the people that are going to ride or die for you. That circle that you have, that is such an important thing to have in our life, because they might not be around you. They might not be in close proximity, because in life, everyone has their own path to take. Yeah. Life takes you away from each other. But if you can keep in contact, if you can keep, and that's another thing. There are people that I don't talk to, I don't talk to on a daily basis. I don't talk to on a week basis. I talk to maybe every couple of months, or maybe I don't even talk to them. But when I see them in person, it's like we didn't miss a step. Yeah. It's like nothing, like no time has passed. And those types of connections are also special. And I mean, there's the opposite side of that coin. Like, there are people that, may seem like they're good for you. There are friends that may seem like Smeagol. Exactly. That like, oh, they're leading me somewhere. There's a point to this. Like, they have my best interest. They don't. They don't. Sometimes people don't. And I think it's like,
they just want your precious.
Exactly. But being conscious of the fact that like not everyone has your best interest at heart. Don't be naive. Don't be gullible. Be like hopeful for sure. Yeah. But not everyone's gonna have your best interest at heart. Not everyone's gonna want to see you succeed. People will use other people, which is the world we live in, and that's real. So that's something like to keep an eye out for too. But in my experience, because I that's happened, and it's unfortunate, but it is a reality.
It's part of life, yeah.
And like there's good and there's bad, and it's what you make of it that makes the biggest difference at the end of the day. To choose to surround, and that's the thing, you have to be selective, and you have to choose to surround yourself with quality people, with people that you have seen, because it's like they can talk the talk, they can speak, they can say, yeah, I care for you, but it's like at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, who's going to be there for you to carry you up the mountain? Yeah. Who would do this for you? And if like you have to like kind of like, I don't know, you have to second guess and think about it. And it's like, maybe you should reevaluate that. Maybe you should think about, who has been with me multiple times, because you can be doing the same thing. You can be pushing someone away that's been there for you. And you're just like, I don't care. This person isn't cool. This person isn't, as important, or like I don't have much to gain from this person. It's like that's something that you have to evaluate in yourself, and it's like, why am I thinking that way? Because I mean, this one thing that's happened in life is like, you can just be craving attention. You can just be craving attention, or you can just be, giving your attention to somebody else. Yeah. And the intention behind what you're doing is so important in the friendships, in the relationships that we have, because we have to think about, why am I doing this? Why am I friends with this person? Am I friends with this person because of circumstance? Because like Like, what do we talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does this because it's like, does this like just because this feels good, or like we have, you know, mutual things in common? Like, what is the point of what I'm doing with this person? Like, why is this person here? If this person asked me to, you know, help them move or go on a road trip, you know, across the country, are they going to do that for me, or am I going to do that for them? And then, I don't know. I think it's interesting, like the relationship and dynamics, which that could be a whole episode, like
right there,
where you can get into that stuff. But as far as like getting back to the whole thing about community, man, it's important that I think it's important that you have one.
Yeah. And
it doesn't have to be a group of like 50 people, like 20 people.
No,
like it can be 3, it can be 2, it can be 1, you know? Because it's like, I'd rather have one like best friend, hardcore friend that's like just going to be there for me whenever, rather than like 5 people that are just going to be like, nah, they might flake, or like they're not, like, I don't know. It's a weird thought to have, but it's like, you want to, I think it's in the military, they call it the foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people you're in the trenches with.
Yeah.
And I read a book by David Goggins,
mm-hmm.
where he talks about this foxhole and talks about how you have to be so careful and specific, even if it's so small, because one like weak link, or one like, you know, person that isn't like of the same mentality or doesn't buy into the same thought pattern, that's the Trojan horse. That's like the thing, that's the weak link that breaks you down. That's the thing that messes you up, and you fall and you fail. And yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, man.
But no, it's good that we're talking about this, man. Yeah, but community is important. Life is better together. I remember when I was in California, I was alone. All my family was here. I made new friends, coworkers, but it wasn't the same. You get me? I didn't have my brotherhood. I didn't have people, and I would text people, you know, every once in a while, but it wasn't the same. I wasn't as intentional, and I feel like although I loved California, I loved California. It's one of my favorite times in my life. I think it was also the saddest times in my life, because I didn't have the community that I was used to.
Yeah.
And I remember coming back to Miami thinking, wow, a failure. I'm coming back, moving in with my mom. But ever since I've been back, I've had community, and I'm 10 times happier than I was when I was in California.
Yeah.
Because life is better together.
Life is better together. So
find your fellowship.
Find your fellowship.
Find your Frodo. Your Sam.
Or both.
Or Gandalf. Or Aragorn.
Find yourself an Aragorn.
A Gimli. A Legolas. Be worried about Be weary about Boromir's.
Yeah, Boromir, you gotta keep an eye on.
You gotta keep an eye on him. Yeah. But
at the end of the day,
yeah,
he showed up.
Until next time, keep on searching for fellowship.